Okay, it is 4:30 p.m. I'd like to call the Brimfield Township Trustees emergency meeting to order. Roll call for attendance, please.
Nick,
Yes?
Sue,
Yes.
and Mike is absent.
All right. We're here for an emergency meeting for the discussion of a proposed resolution change. To discuss this on the floor, I'd like to make a motion for a resolution amending the distribution of Brimfield Township City of Talmadge Joint Economic Development District funds previously allocated to the Brimfield Police, Fire, and Road Departments. Whereas Brimfield Township, Ohio regularly receives funds collected from the Brimfield Township City of Talmadge Joint Economic Development District pursuant to the Brimfield Talmadge JED contract dated July 7, 2003, and has recently received the distribution of said JED funds for the first half of the 2025 calendar year. And whereas the Board of Township Trustees previously authorized the distribution of the Brimfield Talmadge JED funds received by the township in 2025 as follows: 30% to police department, 30% to fire department, 30% to road department, with 10% to the general fund. And whereas the Board of Trustees, with the advice of the State of Ohio Auditor's Office, now desires to amend the prior allocation of Brimfield Talmadge JED funds so as to reduce the total amount of said funds received by each department from the first half of 2025 JED funds payments by $15,000 and placing those reallocated funds into the township's general fund, having determined that such amendment is in the best interest of Brimfield Township and its residents, as the reallocation will assist in the township's operation and overall functioning and efficiency of the township. And whereas the Board of Trustees desires and anticipates utilizing second half 2025 Brimfield Talmadge JED funds to replenish the amounts of JED funds currently being reallocated away from police, fire, and road departments through this resolution. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Township Trustees, County of Portage, and State of Ohio, that Section 1, the Board of Trustees hereby amends the prior allocation of Brimfield Talmadge JED funds received for the first half of 2025 by the Brimfield Police, Fire, and Road Departments, and hereby and herein authorize the reduction of the total amount of said funds received by the township's police, fire, and road departments from the first half of 2025 JED fund payments by $15,000, and further utilizes that combined amount of $45,000 to be allocated and placed into the township's general fund. Section 2, the Board of Trustees further authorizes the Township Fiscal Officer to take any and all necessary action to accomplish the foregoing reallocation of funds. Section 3, it is found and determined that all formal actions of the trustees concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and all deliberations of the board and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements. Section 4, this resolution shall take effect upon adoption by the Board of Trustees or the earliest period allowed by law. I will need a second for that motion.
I'll second that.
All right, so lengthy document there, but to discuss this, I was notified today that the general fund was processing payroll for this pay app, which is due this Wednesday to our employees. We do have until Friday to pay them, but historically we have always paid them on Wednesdays. The general fund did not have enough funding, resulting in us unable to process payroll. Looking at what options existed, until we receive our county draws of money, which we anticipate probably to come end of this month.
Around the 18th.
Okay, so we're still waiting on our tax draws for this half of the year. We anticipate them to come around the 18th. Those funds have not arrived, so we were looking for a solution to ensure that our employees did not go without a pay. One of the options that came to us after we consulted with the Ohio State Auditor's Office, correct?
That's correct.
And we consulted also with our attorney, our legal law firm on this process, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this will allow us to take $15,000 of the JED funds that were deposited in the police, roads, and fire and reallocate them back to the administrative account. That'll allow the general fund to operate with $45,000 until we receive our next JED distribution, which we anticipate that sometime this month, correct?
Correct.
At that point, then the motion will be to reallocate the $15,000 back to each department at that point. So all departments, police, roads, and fire, will all be made whole back to their original amount, but this will allow us to pay those bills. Looking at that before we go forward with the motion, we also looked at our current funds, our road and bridge fund, our special levy fire fund, and our special police fund, and all of those fund balances will substantiate and allow this to happen with no negative impact to their operations, correct, Holly?
That's correct.
Okay. That's kind of where we're at. That's a discussion that Holly and I had. I wanted to bring to the floor for talk. Sue, what questions do you have on this?
Well, I do have an opinion in that we normally, by regular, just automatic payroll deduction into all of our employees' accounts through the banks, then what happens if that money doesn't go in there on Wednesday, which it normally would, those people would be waiting till Friday, and I think we need to keep them whole first and not be late on a paycheck, because I know in my paycheck, I have like 3 days after I'm paid, I have all these automatic deductions that just normally pay my bills. And I'm sure other people probably do that too. So we have a township trustee meeting tomorrow night starts at 5:45. And so with that meeting tomorrow night, we still wouldn't be able to make that payroll go out to everybody till it would be at least Thursday, and they're not going to have it by Friday. I just think it's a matter of principle that our employees must be paid.
And I know this leads to a larger question of, well, why is the general fund where it's at? That's a piece that we've been working on. We still haven't gotten clarification of what the shortages are anticipated to be for the general fund moving forward. When we receive that data, then we can look at the options. I would not want to make a blanket action of reallocating salaries or reductions or any of that until we really know what this is. This really is just a stopgap while we wait to get the rest of that information as we go through this fiscal transformation that's happening right now. Holly, do you have anything else that I might have missed in this discussion? I know we talked.
No, and the reason why this came up so quickly is we've been working with multiple entities, as you mentioned, including the Ohio auditor, just to try and figure out what we could do that's compliant and legal. And this literally kind of transpired within the last hour. So that's why it was an emergency meeting, and it's based on payroll, and we just felt in the best interest of and again, this is just our administrative staff, to get this emergency meeting scheduled and temporarily move those funds until the next JED payment.
I think it's important. I'm still of the stance that this money does go right back to police, roads, and fire once we get that JED distribution. This is not a reduction in operating costs or reduction of anything related to police, roads, and fire. This is strictly moving the money back to the general fund for a time being, and then we'll put it back in. With the draws coming from our normal taxes and our JED revenue, that gives us some time to continue working on this budget and finding a solution. However, I will say finding a solution sooner than later is important because those costs continue to grow as we move forward. Sue, would you like to add anything else or any other discussion on this?
No, I fully understand what the issue is, and I'm just so thankful that we do have the money in these 3 special levies that come in for us, that we can switch it.
Yeah, and it's only, we could not typically.
It's only going to be for like 2-3 weeks at the most.
Yeah, and typically you can't move money out of a special levy fund. Special levies have to be used for levy purposes only.
Right.
But because we allocate those funds with JED dollars, this allows that piece.
It allows us to do
Looking at the
that.
budget overall, our police, roads, and fire are where they need to be. They're operating well within there. We just need to make some amendments and some changes related to administration and general fund. That's where the concern is. And we're diligently working on it. We just need those final numbers to make some decisions. With that said, I think this is in the best interest of our employees. They work very hard here. I would not want them to be short of their funding.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Yeah, roll call, please.
Roll call, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
And Mike is absent. Yeah, motion passed.
All right. There's nothing else on the agenda. As for emergency meetings, we have to stick to what was advertised for the agenda. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move we adjourn.
All right, I will second that.
Meeting ended at 4:39.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 4:39.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.